on WoezorTV. My name has always been Godfred Amoaful. Today, we bring you another insightful conversation, but then we are focusing on employment, especially among the youth. We are looking at one program that was established to actually look into, that is the NEIP, which is the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. So this is under a ministry, of course, and so they outline, specific programs support startups to ensure that they grow, and even non-existing businesses, but then also ensure that these come to life to support entrepreneurship drive and even employment in the country. If you look at the statistics, it doesn't really look good, and all political parties have been promising on job creation. If you look at the current government, they were very specific, the Juma program, the 24-hour economy. So you're looking at how these will come together to ensure that we get quite good number of people, especially the youth, into the job sector. So today our conversation is going to focus on this specific program, which is NEIP, what they've been doing since 2025 they assumed office, what they inherited, what they are doing, what the years ahead will be for them to ensure that we achieve this projection that we've given ourselves as a country. My name is Godfred Amoaful. Let's go for this quick break. When we return, I'll introduce to you my beautiful guest for this insightful conversation. To stay.
Your flight is ready to leave.
Sit back and relax and enjoy the flight.
Welcome back for this insightful conversation. Let me remind you, this is the interview on WoezorTV. Of course, I will introduce to you another beautiful woman. You remember last week we had a beautiful woman, and of course, this is also part of our effort to ensure that we celebrate the International Women's Day. And this being our last episode on the International Women's Day celebration, we are giving you another beautiful, beautiful woman. She is a lawyer, the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. She is in the person of Joan Selasie Ahiawordor. That's her name. You see the spelling, maybe the Joan, you might not mention it that way, but that's how it be pronounced. She's very beautiful. Welcome to the interview, madam.
Thank you. My
first time seeing you face to face.
Okay.
Yes, and hearing from you for the first time. How are you doing?
Can we complain? God has been faithful. Doing very excellent.
Yeah, you know, right. International Women's Day. We are coming to the close. Let me put it, International Women's Month, right? So, how did you observe from your own portion?
Well, I joined a couple of colleagues, on breast cancer awareness, and then cervical cancer as well, and then some donations to some widows, somewhere in the Volta region, just to, support them, especially those, and that was a personal project I did, but I did it off the cameras, just to encourage them. It's empowerment. Women's celebration is all about empowerment. So the widows who do not have much to win, I supported them, to be able to put food on, the tables of their families. And generally then I just joined, the euphoria, listened to a couple of, sessions that were on, the themes across board. Yeah.
It's been good so far. Let's get to business. Let's talk about your institution, being the Deputy Chief Executive Officer, a female, of course. How has it been so far, the journey?
Well, it's been a learning journey for me. Learning journey because my first time in public service. I have been a private practitioner before I got appointed. And then I come into an institution that is also not very structured or formalized. We program, so trying to put the institution, into proper, perspective and all that has been a very great learning experience. I think that the 1 year has been amazing. Learned a lot, and we've shaped the institution in very significant ways, and I feel very accomplished for being part of the team.
You made a point. You said you came into an institution that is not well structured. I mean, how can you come into an institution that is not structured? What are you pointing to? Does it mean the previous administration did not do what they need to do when it comes to this institution?
Very well. You know, we say soldier goes, soldier comes. And when a military man or a soldier is put in, you know, into action, you do what you can do, and then you go. When another comes, definitely there'll be loopholes. We met loopholes here, and I think significantly, I don't know if you follow the news. When we assumed office, that is the NDC administration. Within the very first 2 months, there was news all over the place that NEIP had, you know, laid off all the workers in the institution, you know, and there was a bit of bashing. Some people didn't understand why it happened that way, and we came here and met an institution where there was no proper record of the staff in the institution. Because when you go into an institution and you want to understand the institution, during your onboarding, you have to understand you have this number of staff, you have this staff strength, you need to understand the roles each of them are playing and all that. And these are supposed to be, you know, properly filed, you know, salary issues and even the contract of employment, because you have to understand whether or not their contracts are temporary or permanent employment and all that. After having gone through all that, we realized that, I mean, some of them do not even have files. Majority of them didn't have files here. And then they didn't even have contracts of employment. So they were working here. Just, you know, people have been here for 8 good years without their SNIT being paid.
That's serious.
They don't pay, yes, their SNIT being paid and all that. And we felt that no, in order to protect the government and to protect these individuals involved, we needed to, you know, make sure that we let them go home and restructure. We have restructures. Those that we need, we have called them back. Then again, NEIP was only existing here at the head office. Across the country, we didn't have any representation in terms of an office and all that. But I can say that we have established offices across all the 16 regions of Ghana. So every regional capital you go, you find a NEIP office over there.
In just a year?
In just a year. This is one of the things we have also been able to do. And currently, we are trying to onboard all our staff onto the government of Ghana payroll. We're almost done, about 90% done. We are at the stage of the finance ministry for clearance. Then we can, you know, roll them up. Then they can properly, you know, pay their SNIT and all that for retirement purposes. Yeah. So
let's stick to the staff issue. You said almost all the staff you met were not on payroll. They were not paying their SNIT. Can you put figures to them?
The staff we met in the office, we met about 28 staff. 28? Yes, at the head office here. And out of that, we have brought no less than 10 of them. About 10 of them are back.
So 18 still on? Why are they?
Some of them voluntarily decided to retire. And then with some of them too, after having gone through their files and their services, you know, are not needed, were not needed, and so they had to, you know, be laid off.
So have you filled that gap?
Yes, those gaps have been filled. We have gone through proper channels of recruitment. Interviews have been conducted. In fact, even those we brought back, we gave opportunities for them to go through interviews. You know, that has been done, and we have replaced those that needed to be replaced. And those who voluntarily decided to retire on their own, I mean, to not retire, but to, you know, lay themselves off to, you know, they have also left voluntarily.
So now you are fully functioning?
Yes, 100% functioning.
Of course. Tell us some of your projections, or probably the blueprints of this institution as you assume the office.
In terms of, if you can come clear.
What's on the table at the moment you're working on?
Well, you know, the Government of Ghana is one of the flagship programs of the Government of Ghana. That is a Jumara program. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard about it, I would have stopped this interview because we've been at Wozor and all those places to speak on. We are running the Jumara. And the Jumara is one of the social contract, 120-day social contract promise that His Excellency had with the youth of Ghana, that each year he was going to support at least 10,000 young people in businesses with business incubation, training, funding, and what have you. And so we started Ejumara. Immediately we came, it was launched. We did the time frame in Kumasi. And then from there, we started recruitment processes, selection, application, of course, then the selection process. They went through a 5-week training. After that, currently, they did pitching across the country as well. And currently, we are at the funding stage. His Excellency started the distribution of the grants. We started in the Ahiawordor region in Sunyani last 2 weeks, Thursday in Sunyani. We are waiting for the next region that will be more convenient for His Excellency, for the continuation of the disbursement of the grants.
Let's look into what you're doing to save the institution and the youth of this country when it comes to innovation and entrepreneurship.
Right.
How is the situation like when it comes to the youth entrepreneurship in this country?
Well, entrepreneurship, the ecosystem is a very vibrant one, and I think that the future for our entrepreneurship ecosystem is a very positive one. A lot of the youth are very enthusiastic. Mind you, when we opened the portal for the Ejumara program, on the first day of the launch of Ejumara, we received about 20,000 of applications. By the time applications closed, we received over 120,000 applications from young people all across the country.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, we needed only 10,000, and we had widely advertised that. So that alone tells you the enthusiasm of, and all these people are in businesses, So the ecosystem is a very robust one, and I am very confident and positive that the future, holds very well for entrepreneurship, the ecosystem.
Do you have funding for the initiative you are putting across?
Yes, we do. We have 2 models.
Okay.
2 funding models. The first one is the grant, Government of Ghana grant, and that is the commitment, of course. A seed, money has been dedicated to the fund. Last year, 100 million Ghana cedi was, given by the Finance Ministry. This year, it's been increased to 160 million, so you can see that the President is very serious about the Ejumara. Beyond that, we are also exploring, venture capitalist, funding for those who are, the very high, those who need very much, to scale their businesses. So far, we are in discussions with the Venture Capital Trust Fund for a partnership. $100 million entrepreneurship, Ejumara specifically, Ejumara fund is being made available through the Venture Capital Trust Fund for these, high-scale businesses. So we are hoping that in the coming days, WoezorTV will be invited to come and see the signing of the MOU between NEIP and the Venture Capital Trust Fund on that particular model of funding as well. So we have 2.
Okay. The Ejumara program is very, very specific with how they want to do their things. So you dive more into it and understand. You said when you open the application, you receive over 120,000 people applying for it. Meanwhile, you needed 10,000. Do you have the 10,000 active at the moment?
Okay, so this is how the Ejumara program is. It's a manifesto commitment, and it is supposed to be a wholesale package, a full package, for young entrepreneurs. So it's supposed to be training, it's supposed to be mentoring, then you do funding. Now, the training is to be given to all 10,000. Now, we selected a little over 10,000 of the beneficiaries, after which all of them went through 5-week intensive training. We developed an entrepreneurship manual through partnership with the University of Ghana Business School, the British Council, and then the ecosystem actors. Within the entrepreneurship ecosystem, we came together and developed a very comprehensive entrepreneurship manual. That is the Ejumara training manual, and that was what was used for the 5-week intensive training program across the country. We also partnered with about 16 or 17 universities across the country who have entrepreneurship courses in their schools. They also served as training centers, for some of these. Apart from them, then across the country we had over 90. That is aside the university, training institutions. We had private hubs across the country that came together and took these beneficiaries through the training. Now, let me indicate that the training alone for some of these young entrepreneurs was enough for them, because there were things that hitherto they didn't know, and it was affecting their businesses. But once they went through that process, now they can come boldly and tell you, I didn't know A, B, C, and D, but I have been able to now through the Ejimora program, and they're doing very well. Outside of that, because His Excellency wanted the beneficiaries to take the entire program, especially the training, models, very serious. There was a competition, or there's a competition, and that is to give only 2,000 out of the 10,000 beneficiaries funding.
2,000 out of the 10,000. Is it fair?
And it means that no, it is. It means that you have to fight for it. You have to pitch for it, because mind you, it is a grant. It is not a loan. Okay. You are giving the average Ghanaian, or as we say, the ordinary taxpayers' money to, a business, owner, free of charge. You have to work for it. You have to show working for it. And so they had to go through pitching across the country to justify their inclusion. Okay. And right from the onset of the program, they were made aware of this, so they take their businesses serious. Those who came in without proper, business plans or business proposals, by the time you finish the training, we teach them all those things. You should be able to show, you should be able to demonstrate that the training sessions that you have gone through has had impact on you and your business. So those who were able to defend, the training they have done in their businesses, are the people who have, won, or benefited and are receiving the grants.
So all the 10,000 people you actually deployed or recruited, let me put it that way, had their own businesses?
Yes. So we had ideation, and we had, those who were already into businesses. And ideation are those who had the business ideas but hadn't started. Okay. But those are just a minimal number of percentage. I can't give the exact percentage, but a bit minimal. And then the rest of them were, businesses that were already existing and operating. So
do you have any special package for the ideation group?
Yes.
What is it?
So for instance, during the recruitment process, when we are looking at your books, you have to consider books and all those things. Ideation business, you cannot, Then in terms of even business certificate registration, if a business is already in existence, we expect that you should have your business registered. If it's an ideation business, we're not too, but even with that, both of them were not too strict on the registration, because it also forms part of the Ejimara support for the businesses. That by the time you finish the training, we should be able to guide you to have your business registered, whether ideation or existing. Right.
If you say a startup, how old should a startup be?
Well, as we speak now, we don't have an act in Ghana here. We don't have a startup act in Ghana here. But elsewhere, if we want to look at what happens, people have between 1 to 5 years. Okay. For startups. I think we are considering, not too sure, we are considering about 1 to 3 years. We are still in discussions as we are developing the Ghana Startup Bill. We are still in discussions we haven't determined really what benchmark Ghana will use, but we are still under discussions, on that.
The 10,000 people, how were you able to specifically measure what they do, or, identify what they do, so that it wouldn't be like people are cooking up businesses to get these grants and all this stuff?
The very interesting thing about the whole Ejimara process is that myself and my CEO were not very much involved, okay? Because we wanted excellence, we got professionals, we got ecosystem actors, reps from the British Council, University of Ghana Business School, some of the known entrepreneurs in this country, representatives from the GEA, because they have been doing, these entrepreneurship support things over the years, also from Maslock and all that. And these people coming together, devise a criteria for the selection process. So they actually went to Akosombo over a period of 1 week, and they were able to go through these applications one after the other.
Okay.
They have the eye, the professional eye, to be able to tell, which businesses, are worthy of supporting and all that. And they were able to give us, the numbers, the particular businesses to support. So it was a very professional work that was done, and we are very confident that the work done and the selections that are done are people who actually merit the support.
Do you go through any segregation in terms of maybe age, the business type, and all those things?
Yes. So Ejumara primarily is for the youth.
Okay.
So like when I started earlier, I indicated that it was a social contract between His Excellency, then candidate of the NDC, and the youth of Ghana. So the age is between 18 to 35 years.
Okay.
However, because of women empowerment and affirmative action issues, we've extended that of the women from 35 to 40. 40. Okay. Because His Excellency says that he wants at least between 60 to 70% of the beneficiaries to be women. And you know that majority of the people who do businesses across, in this not even just Ghana, but across, the globe, are women. And so that priority was given. When it comes to the type of businesses, we don't have sector, so we are sector agnostic, All that the business needs to satisfy is, one, ability to scale. You should also have the ability to employ, and then sustainable. The business should be sustainable. So whichever sector, be it agri, be it cosmetology, be it fashion, be it whatever industry, these criteria, is looked at before the selection is done for the businesses.
You go for the first half of this interview. I've been speaking to lawyer Joan Selasie Ahiawordor. She is the Deputy Chief Executive of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. You've heard about what she inherited or what they inherited in office. She's spoken about how they are restructuring the whole initiative and the institution to make it more prominent. She spoke briefly about the Ejumera, because when we come back, you go deep into it. I know as a young startup watching us, you want to know how they can apply for the next rollout, and also some other questions that are on your mind will be answered here, because we want to understand into full details how this thing, the Ejumera program will support you. I'm an entrepreneur myself, so don't worry, I got you covered with all the questions that you need to, get the answers for. You go for this break. When you return, you continue the conversation.
Do you want a sugar-free, freshly squeezed fruit juice? Choose Greenline fruit juice and smoothies filled with vitamin C, calcium, iron, fiber, and zinc. Every drop of Greenline juice and smoothies is naturally made to give you energy, good health, and refreshment. Enjoy your favorite Greenline orange, pineapple passion, watermelon, pineapple and turmeric, pineapple beetroot, pineapple and ginger, and healthy green. Greenline fruit juice and smoothies, powered by nature.
You're welcome back for this conversation. We are placing the emphasis on the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program, an institution mandated to actually cater for the youth when it comes to businesses and their own startup. You know the figures in this country, millions of youth are unemployed, and so we want to see how best we can all contribute to ensure that these statistics or the figures come down. At least if we can't, unemployment cannot be taken out of this country, but then we reduce it to the level that we all can appreciate. I've been speaking to the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of this institution, which is the NEIP, and she's been doing quite well. Let's get into details. The promise made by the NDC about the Ejumera and how it is faring at the moment. Let me get to you again on this conversation. One will ask that now, can we identify those that have been through 1 year on? What is the state Have you the first cohorts? Are they out already? Are they done with their training?
Yeah. So like I indicated, the first cohort finished last year, December.
Okay.
You know, there was change of government was just last year, so we couldn't, do the funding at the end of the year. So that is the funding we are doing now.
Okay.
Immediately His Excellence finishes the funding. The training was done last year. Pitching was done, started this year, completed, and then funding has started. Immediately we finish with that, there'll be continuous mentoring of that cohort, the last year cohort, by the training hubs across the country. And then we launch the second for 2026.
Okay.
So either next month, that's April, we should be launching. We are launching the very first. There's a component of the Ejimara this year that is focused on student entrepreneurs. That will be launched in the next 2 weeks. I think that's the second week of next month, and then the portal will be open for applications across the country again for 2026 Ejimara.
For students, what do you expect from students?
Well, there are a lot of students who do entrepreneurship, in their schools, who are entrepreneurs, student entrepreneurs across, I was one, and we believe that we shouldn't wait for people to get out of school before trying to, sharpen the entrepreneurship skills. Because all we are trying to do with Ejimara is to ease the burden on government, for white-collar jobs and what have you. So once the entrepreneurship mindset is shaped in the schools at the tertiary level, they get out of school and they are on their own already. And these businesses will now be absorbing the pressure from government by employing some of the unemployed youth across the country. That is why we want to start from there. Most of the young people who are even doing business, sometimes when we were in school and we were trying to do little businesses, we didn't even understand that we were doing anything. But those who took it serious, today they are the ones running the show within the space. So we want to use those lessons learned to shape the minds and the businesses of these people who are already in school. Once they finish in school, they already baked for the market.
Do you poach businesses?
We don't poach businesses. We don't. But what we do is we open, the space for businesses to rather approach. Because sometimes you don't want it to seem like you're being discriminatory. So every single thing we do here, we make it very transparent to everybody. Then the businesses who feel that they need our support, they approach us and then we support. That's how we go about our support mechanisms.
One question someone might ask, do you give loans?
We don't give loans.
Okay.
What we do is pure grants.
Okay.
That's what we do. All that we do here is pure grants. Because it's either through a development partner. Like we are coming up with some projects through when I was talking about what we are doing, our focus areas, now. I forgot to mention some of the other things. Because Ejimara is a flagship program, we are more focused on that. But in the coming weeks, we are going to launch some programs that are being funded by the African Development Bank, and these are also for young entrepreneurs, those in the digital space, that's content creation, then women, specifically tailored for women entrepreneurs. There's another one like that. Then we have, there's another one, 3 components, with African Development Bank. So all these things, we are doing them just to support, the government's efforts in reducing unemployment.
I hope there's no political interference in your selections and all those things.
Like I indicated to you, the selection process was given to an independent committee. Even the grants given to independent committee. We selected professors. The country director of the British Council is a member of the selection process committee, 2 professors from the University of Ghana, like ecosystem, people who understand the business. And all these people we are mentioning, the British Council, they are into entrepreneurship training and all these things as well. So we left it for them. What His Excellency wants is that at the end of the day, the money we are spending should not go waste. And so political interference is absolutely, but let me also indicate there's a certain misconception that because somebody is an NDC once a person benefits under Ejumara, then there's political interference. No. There could be an NDC person who can genuinely, be running a very successful business, and there's nothing wrong with that person benefiting from, the Ejumara program. Absolutely not. So it shouldn't be as okay because it is. We are saying that there's no political interference. Then we shouldn't see any NDC business person, in Ejumara program. That I want us to correct it. There are successful young men and women who are running businesses who are NDC members. They're Ghanaians and they also deserve to benefit from the Ejumara program. Period.
That's great. Let's look at the Ejumara program. You're still on it. President Mahama, I know to his heart, one sector that he doesn't play with is the agri sector.
Yes.
As if exactly. Is there any specific, rollout or program specifically in the Ejumara tailored to that aspect?
Yes.
And how many people applied coming from the agri-tech?
Okay. So, like I indicated earlier, generally, Ejumara is sector agnostic. But of course, there are some priority areas, and agri forms part of it. It will surprise you that with all the 100% application we have received, about 30 to 40% of them are towards agri.
Wow.
Now, we have also specifically collaborated, or we are collaborating with our Greek Ministry for Nkokon Kitten. So the young businesses or young people who want to go into poultry farming and all that, they have also submitted you indicate, we actually opened it to them. Those who want to actually go into poultry, they brought their names. I'll not be able to give them the figure or the percentage. And we have already signed the MOU with our Greek Minister. So those people are going to be supported with the chicken and then the cages and what have you, feeding and all that, for them to start. And then training also, because the Greek Ministry is going to, those who are not into the poultry business already, the Greek Ministry has committed to give them technical training on how to run these businesses along those lines. So yes, in terms of our Greek, Ejumara is very much, there.
Okay, 10,000 first year, 10,000 second year, 10,000 third year, right?
Yes.
So maybe in the fourth year, you are going to have about 40,000 startup businesses that will be booming training. So we expect that there will be a boom in businesses.
Yes.
How are you renting them for the markets to have access to ready markets?
Okay, so first and foremost, let me indicate that sometimes people ask, why are you giving free grants, it should be loan, even if with no interest or at a low interest and all that. The grant or the support that is being given to these businesses, in the wisdom of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, it's not free. It's not free, quote. And that is so because we want to create jobs. We want to limit the pressure on government for jobs and all that for young people. So His Excellency says that when you get opportunity to go to Ejumara, all I need from you, just employ 1 or 2 people for me. That is all.
Okay.
And like I indicated earlier, all these people that we've supported through training and even those who are being funded, we have them on the platform, the M&E system I have spoken about. And we are monitoring them. There's continuous monitoring, through their training centers or training institutions. So every single thing that they are able to do is showing on the dashboard. Now, for those who have been funded, out of the 2,000, if we are not able to get anything at all, if 2 of them, each is able to employ 2 people, multiplied by the 2,000, we should be able to. But to be fair, you can't support a business 1 year, within 1 year, and expect them to employ 2 people. Yeah. So for the first training, the first cohorts, there's some holiday for them.
Okay.
So let's say this year, up to the end of the year, we should start seeing some signs from those ones. Then those who are being supported this year, we give them another holiday, maybe 1 year, 6 months, to see their businesses, right, before you expect them to employ or give support to other unemployed people. But I'm very confident that by the end of the 4-year term, we should see some very significant numbers, you know, in terms of the Ejumara program and its, you know, the fruits that it will bear.
So those that are receiving these supports, are they also exempted from the taxes, the tax exemption for startups? Are they part of it? Or because they have support, they will have to pay some level of tax?
No, you know, our ecosystem, the entrepreneurship ecosystem here, or the business ecosystem, already has some exemptions that is applicable to everybody. Now, the Ejumara beneficiaries are also part of what is existing within the system already. Okay. They are beneficiaries. The fact that government has, you know, no, but what would be the point? If government is rather trying to help them, and then because you have given them, grants, then some of the free things within the system, you're stopping them from enjoying. Then you haven't done anything. Yes, so they benefit. So theirs is going to be double actually. You benefit from the grant, and then the systems, you know, in place, you also enjoy from them.
So this should be a reason someone needs to apply for the Ejumara.
Of course. As for Ejumara, the last time I was on WoezorTV, a young man phoned in. It was your morning show host who was moderating the program that morning, and I remember the young man said he was not interested even in the funding, that the training he had received for Ejumara was enough for him. These young people, some of them didn't know. They were a bit skeptical about the program. Oh, we've been hearing government programs, it's always like this, but they just go and line people up and share money to them. But this one, there's evidence across the country. People have sat in classrooms, have studied, have polished their businesses, and the testimonies are out there for them to see. So for those young businessmen and women who are very much interested in, you know, upscaling their businesses, there's no other thing to tell them than for them to, since they follow us, because most of them who are interested in, you know, businesses and entrepreneurship, they follow us and see what is going on. We cannot, you know, say it much. They have to hook on to the Ejumara program to ensure that at the end of the day, whatever they are looking for their businesses, in terms of growth, in terms of upscaling, they are able to get it.
Great. One thing that's probably pushing people from exploring the entrepreneurship sector even has to do with thinking of what to do, how to start, and all those things. From the training that you've been giving to these people, what has been the systemic barriers that you've observed, and how are you helping them evolve around them?
You know, in terms of, let me preface this with this. As part of the training program for Ejumara, mindset is one of the cardinal, you know, models under the training. For some of the businesses, like you've indicated, some of them, they don't even know how to go about it. Some of them have so many business ideas, they don't know where to go and all that. The training shaped them. So that people who actually entered Ejumara thinking that they wanted to do one particular business, but by the end of the training, due to the mindset change that they got and the kind of training they got, they have shifted towards somewhere else, which is helping them. In terms of the things that, you know, cause despair or cause a lot of these young people to lose hope in entrepreneurship, the systemic barriers, institutional bottlenecks, product registration, FDA, standard authority, the registration itself, the Office of the Registrar General. When you meet these young people, that is all their cry. So you find people who have run businesses over a period. The businesses are not certified, the businesses are not registered, they've not gone through the regulatory, you know, processes that they need. And so what we are doing now, how we are trying to, we are also advocates, of course, because we are an entrepreneurship institution, we are also being advocates for these young businesses. What we are doing is to collaborate with these institutions, the FDA, Office of the Registrar General, the Standards Authority, all the major regulatory authorities. We're trying to have discussions with them to see how we can minimize some of these bureaucratic, you know, processes that put a lot of young people off the business. Because mind you, now we have AFTA. And AFTA is one of the best things that has happened to Africa and also Ghana. in order for these businesses to be able to enter into these markets, they need to satisfy all these regulatory processes. And so we are doing all that we can to make sure that we are able to help our young businesses who come through us, to take part in the cross-border trades and thereafter by helping them go through the regulatory processes. But that is not their fault, because I'm also doing business. And as we speak, I've not been able to do very much with my business because of the challenges I am having with the FDA. And that has, put me back a bit until we started discussions with them to see how we can. It doesn't mean that they should evade the processes, but I believe that these processes can be made a little bit, flexible for these people, so that it can attract a lot of young people to go through the processes.
What would you say has been your major highlights of this institution ever since you took office?
Well, the very first one is the creation of offices across the country.
Okay.
We are looking at the main focus of Ejumara is to create jobs, and we have given employment to people across the country, all 16 regions. Beyond that, I think that the utilization of the NEIP platform is a plus for us, because everywhere we go, every development partner we meet, we are able to confidently show what we are doing with figures attached to it for them. And this is one of the reasons why, for instance, we even got opportunity with the African Development Bank to run these new programs that I have spoken about. So for me, these are the major highlights I'll talk about. First and foremost, the expansion of the office beyond Accra, and second, the second one is, the running of the MNE platform, because what we do is heavily dependent on monitoring and evaluation. So once the system is running, I think it's a plus.
Do you have cross-border partnership with any of the countries when it comes to training?
No, we don't. So far, we don't.
Why?
It's just the development partners that we are. And of course, they cut across, so because the African Development Bank cuts across, we are exploring avenues for partnerships with other, institutions outside of Ghana. So I'm sure in the coming years we should be able to see some significant improvement in terms of cross-border partnerships.
When it comes to policy, do you think there is any other policy change that needs to be done to ensure that what you're running becomes more effective and efficient going forward?
Well, I think that basically the challenge that we are being confronted with is the institutional bottlenecks. That is all. Because you're running businesses, and these businesses, of course, if they can scale to, now we have, like I indicated, after and all that, you need to make sure that they go through the process, the proper procedures and processes in order to assess those. So these bottlenecks are the things that I believe that we need to deal with in order to give, our young people, young men and women who are into businesses, the opportunity for their businesses to scale to whichever level that. And that is why I indicated earlier that advocacy is very strong. The conversations have started for the partnerships and all that, to see how these institutions can also help us to help the young people.
Solid. We are wrapping up with this conversation. What I will ask from you is that in the next 5 years, I know you said you are putting up proper structures. Maybe how would you want to see NEIP?
In the next 5 years, when you come to this office to come and interview me, you are not going to speak to NEIP, Deputy CEO, but you should be speaking to the GISA Deputy CEO. That's the Ghana Innovation and Startup Agency.
You're planning of being an agency?
So we are in the process.
Okay.
The bill has already been drafted. We are going through processes to convert this place from a program to, an agency that will be focusing on startups and innovation.
Okay.
Now, when that is done, I would want to see Ghana as one. I would want to see a Silicon Valley emerging out of Ghana through the support of NEIP. That NEIP becomes a hub for entrepreneurship, support, for startup development and startup, acceleration in the country. In the next 5 years, these are the two things that I want to see NEIP achieve.
Very well. You will look into the camera and give Ghanaians your final statements.
Okay. Good evening, Ghanaians, especially the young people, the Ejumares, the businessmen and women who are watching me, those who are already beneficiaries of the Ejumara program, those who are not yet beneficiaries of the Ejumara program. I want to just assure you that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's commitment to supporting you through the Ejumara program is a reality. And for most of you who have followed the Ejumara program, you know that every single promise that has been made has, been fulfilled. I want you to keep faith in His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And look, all the big businesses that we are seeing across the globe, the Tony Elumelus, the Ibrahim Mohammeds, the big guys, the McDonald's and all these guys started just like you. There's no height you cannot reach if you are focused on what you want to do. Be focused and take advantage of every single opportunity within the system. And in the coming years, you can also be the next Ibrahim Mahama. You can also be the next McDonald. You can also be the next Grace Ame Obin, because I don't want to be discriminatory. There are women who are also doing well. You can be the next Grace Ame Obin in this country. So I wish you well, and hoping to see you and your businesses doing very well in the coming days and years. Thank you.
That's lawyer Joan Selasie Ahiawordor, the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program. She says that the next time you will come here, there will be an agency. So we pray that goes through, so that all that we want from them will be actually actualized, so that the youth in this country will have sustainable jobs to do, as President Mahama promised to give us before he leaves office. So this has been the interview on WoezorTV. My name is Godfred Amoaful. Thanks for doing the watching. Let's meet next week, same time.